Unlike many other ancient Egyptian burial sites, the tomb of King Tutankhamun remained concealed and untouched by thieves for an astonishing 3,000 years. What accounts for this remarkable preservation? One significant factor was its relatively small size, which allowed it to be hidden away in a location known as the Valley of the Kings. By the time archaeologists stumbled upon Tut's burial site, this area was already being extensively explored. The entrance to the tomb was obscured by debris from the construction of a nearby tomb, further ensuring its secrecy. Adding to this mystery, there were no inscriptions or markings on the exterior of the tomb. Over time, this combination of elements helped maintain its incredible condition until the 1920s, when the famed archaeologist Howard Carter finally uncovered it. But was Carter truly the hero he is often portrayed as? Recent findings suggest that he may not have been as straightforward as once believed. Traditionally, people viewed Carter as more than just a treasure hunter. They considered him a dedicated archaeologist. His fascination with Egyptian artifacts began in childhood, leading him to meticulously draw sculptures and inscriptions from ancient tombs. Following his discovery of the remains of King Tut, he dedicated a decade to cataloging and processing an array of treasures, including golden thrones, chariots, and statues from the tomb, shipping them down the Nile to Egypt's museum in Cairo. At least, that's the official narrative. However, more recent discoveries reveal that not all items made it to the Egyptian authorities. A secret letter appears to expose Carter's questionable practices. Dated 1922, this correspondence was sent to Sir Alan Gardiner, a philologist and friend of Carter, in which he mentioned the tomb's discovery and sought advice. Another letter from 1934 shows Gardiner thanking Carter for an amulet he received as a token of appreciation. Although Carter claimed it didn't originate from Tut's tomb, evidence suggests otherwise. Even the British director of the Egyptian Museum suspected Carter's clandestine activities but lacked the proof to confront him. When comparing Gardiner's amulet with others from Tut's tomb, he found them to be identical. Disappointed by the predicament, Gardiner privately expressed his frustration to Carter and, choosing friendship over betrayal, advised him to return the pilfered treasures to Cairo. But this is just the tip of the iceberg concerning Carter's post-discovery behavior. In 1947, Alfred Lucas, a former associate of the controversial archaeologist, revealed in an obscure journal that Carter had allegedly surreptitiously opened the burial chamber door himself before sealing it back up, as if nothing had happened. Why would he take such a risk? The theory suggests that Carter and his team entered the tomb early to secure some ancient artifacts for themselves, knowing they couldn't afford to let such treasures be auctioned off while they were alive. Yet, Carter never admitted to any wrongdoing, nor did he deny the accusations outright. The Egyptian government, wary of further mysterious disappearances, eventually prohibited him from entering the tomb for a period. Some have linked these alleged thefts to the infamous curse of King Tutankhamun. If you're unfamiliar with this tale, it gained notoriety shortly after King Tut's resting place was uncovered, claiming that anyone who disturbed the tomb would suffer dire consequences. While it doesn't involve mummies on a rampage, word spread that those who meddled with the young pharaoh's final resting place met with untimely fates. The most notable case associated with this so-called curse is that of George Herbert, the 5th Earl of Carnarvon. This British aristocrat played a crucial role in financing the search for the tomb, yet he passed away just a year after it was opened. While many consider this mysterious, it's worth noting that Herbert was already in poor health when he arrived in Cairo, ultimately succumbing to a common illness. Now, let's delve into the numbers. A considerable number of individuals were involved in the tomb's opening, including security personnel, archaeologists, and support staff. It's true that a few of them passed away shortly after the tomb began receiving visitors. However, as much as we might wish for the curse to be real for the sake of storytelling, statistically speaking, a large group of people linked to the tomb would naturally experience some passings by random chance. In fact, the average lifespan for those supposedly affected by the ancient curse exceeded 20 years after the tomb's discovery. When you think of opening a tomb, you might anticipate some eerie incidents, right? But interestingly, the average lifespan of those believed to be victims of the ancient curse was over 2 decades past the supposed onset of the spell. Take, for instance, Herbert's daughter, who lived into the 1980s, half a century later. And let's not forget Howard Carter himself, who continued to thrive until 1935, a solid 16 years after the grand unveiling of King Tut's tomb. Could it be that the legendary curse was merely a clever public relations tactic? Picture this. When Howard Carter discovered Tutankhamun's tomb, he faced a horde of inquisitive reporters eager to uncover secrets. To keep them at bay, he may have concocted the tale of a curse, a shadow looming over anyone who dared enter the resting place of the young king. But what treasures were actually taken from King Tut's tomb? Initially, it was some jewelry that vanished, and there's a claim that Carter himself might have been involved. A French expert conducted thorough investigations, analyzing old photographs from the 1920s, comparing them to items displayed in museums and auction houses. Through this meticulous research, he began to trace the fate of some of Tut's dazzling jewelry. For instance, there was a beautiful collar that once adorned Tut's chest. Sadly, it was shattered into pieces, with some parts making their way to the Nelson Atkins Museum in Missouri, while other fragments ended up on a necklace that an unidentified group attempted to sell in 2015 but to no avail. The Nelson Atkins Museum has even substantiated this information on their website. Then we have a piece of a headdress from which beads were reportedly pilfered by Carter as well. These beads found their way into a necklace and are currently housed at the St. Louis Art Museum. Another exquisite collar, crafted from glazed ceramic, briefly resided at the Metropolitan Museum of Art in New York. Fortunately, this artifact was returned to Egypt just over a decade ago, adding to the list of items that Carter may have misappropriated. Despite the missing artifacts, King Tut's tomb revealed a wealth of extraordinary items that shed light on the remarkable ancient Egyptian civilization. Among these treasures is the renowned burial mask, a magnificent 21-inch gold masterpiece embellished with semi-precious stones and glass paste. Weighing in at 22 pounds, it depicts the boy pharaoh with a long beard and a headdress adorned with a cobra and vulture on the back. This mask even features a spell from an ancient Egyptian spiritual text, designed to ensure its effectiveness in the afterlife. Interestingly, Tutankhamun was also a fan of board games. Archaeologists uncovered 4 games in his tomb, some crafted from ivory. Additionally, they found a pair of gold sandals, which likely served more as symbols of wealth than for actual wear. It's probable that the pharaoh never donned them during his lifetime. Speaking of luxury, Tut was indeed a fashionable ruler. They even discovered a mannequin in his tomb, presumably used to select and store his outfits and jewels. The young king also seemed to appreciate music, as evidenced by the 2 trumpets unearthed from his tomb. While these instruments were played during a BBC broadcast in 1935, they are now deemed too delicate for further use. For over 3,000 years, the gold mask of Pharaoh Tutankhamun remained concealed in the Valley of the Kings. This artifact, standing at around 21 inches tall, exemplifies the exceptional skill and artistry of the ancient Egyptians. What's even more astonishing is that X-ray examinations would later uncover its most significant secret. King Tut was the last ruler of his lineage during the 18th dynasty. Ascending to the throne at just 9 years old, he reigned for a mere decade before his untimely demise. In truth, Tutankhamun was largely overlooked by subsequent rulers in ancient Egypt. His tomb was so inconsequential to them that even grave robbers neglected it. While this might sound disheartening, it turned out to be a stroke of luck for us. Thanks to its relative obscurity, the tomb remained well preserved, unlike many others in the Valley of the Kings that were looted. When it was finally discovered in 1922, it contained over 5,000 invaluable artifacts, catapulting Tutankhamun to instant fame as one of the most renowned pharaohs. Among these treasures, the most breathtaking piece is undoubtedly his golden mask, said to be a near-exact likeness of the king's face. or at least that was the intention. The purpose of such an accurate representation was to ensure that his soul would recognize him in the afterlife and return to his mummified body. In the beliefs of ancient Egyptians, this was crucial for continuing his existence beyond death. The intricate details of the mask were incredibly challenging to create, yet the true complexity wasn't fully appreciated until years later. The first X-rays of the mask were conducted in 1967, driven not by curiosity but by the need for practical conservation, as the mask was set to be showcased in Paris. It was many years later, in 1967, when the first X-rays of the iconic mask were captured. At that time, the primary purpose of these scans was practical conservation. The mask was preparing for its debut exhibition outside of Paris, an event of significant historical importance. This was the first time it had ever left the city, and the scans aimed to help monitor any changes during its display in the exhibition. Additionally, these images could potentially reveal insights into the mask's intricate construction. However, at that moment, the true complexity of the mask's creation may not have been fully understood. Have you ever wondered how ancient Egyptian goldsmiths crafted such masterpieces without modern soldering techniques? New insights emerged from X-rays taken in 2007, unveiling some answers. Surprisingly, the Egyptians did not use pure gold, which is 24 karat. Instead, the mask was composed of 23 karat gold, indicating it was blended with another material. Specialists discovered that the gold sheets contained a small quantity of copper, a reddish-brown metal likely added to enhance the material's flexibility and shapeability. The artisans would then heat and hammer the gold sheets repeatedly to achieve the desired form. But the secrets of the mask didn't end there. A remarkable discovery was made in 2015. While preparing the display for the mask at Cairo's Egyptian Museum, a mishap occurred. The long beard of the mask accidentally came loose. Some speculate that the beard had simply weakened over time and fell off. But regardless of the cause, the incident sparked considerable concern. After all, this was one of the most visited tourist attractions in Cairo. To address the situation swiftly, experts initiated a restoration process that began with a meticulous recording of the mask's condition. This involved a full three-dimensional scan of the artifact, which led to an unexpected revelation. Inside the beard, there was a gold tube, an intriguing structure the Egyptians likely used to secure the beard to the mask, further proving that the mask's creation was even more sophisticated than previously believed. Yet, the mysteries surrounding this mask continue to unfold. Remember how it was once thought to be a perfect representation of King Tutankhamun's visage? Recent theories suggest that this assumption may be flawed. Some compelling studies indicate that the mask was originally intended for a different individual, specifically a female pharaoh, possibly his stepmother, the renowned and beautiful Queen Nefertiti. The most significant clue lies in an inscription on the mask. At first glance, it appears to belong to Tutankhamun, but upon closer inspection, researchers discovered something written beneath his name. It seems that the original inscription may have been altered, revealing a name that translates to Queen Nefertiti. Moreover, there's another aspect of King Tutankhamun's golden mask that has been overlooked for years, heightening the intrigue. As mentioned earlier, experts believe he was not highly regarded by the pharaohs who succeeded him, and one clue supporting this notion is the presence of pierced ears on the mask. Some researchers argue that King Tut wouldn't have worn earrings after childhood, leading to the theory that by the time he passed away at 18, he should not have been depicted with pierced ears. This raises the possibility that the mask was initially owned by Nefertiti or perhaps someone entirely unrelated to King Tutankhamun. But the mask isn't the only enigma surrounding King Tut. His entire tomb is shrouded in puzzles. Recently, historians uncovered evidence suggesting that the location designated for King Tut's burial may have been changed at the last minute. For years, experts have pondered why a pharaoh who ruled for 9 years ended up in such a modest tomb compared to the opulence of other pharaohs' resting places. King Tut's tomb, in contrast, appeared rather plain, an unexpected reality for someone of his stature and significance in ancient Egypt. So what transpired? It appears that this situation may be linked to his successor, Pharaoh I. After the passing of King Tutankhamun, researchers believe that I may have taken measures to erase Tut's legacy from Egyptian history. One theory posits that he orchestrated the rapid decision to place King Tut's remains in a smaller, less grand tomb. When experts examined Isone's tomb, they discovered something intriguing. A large wall adorned with painted baboons, mirroring the artwork found in King Tut's tomb. This suggests that the same individual may have selected the artistic designs for both burial sites. Interestingly, while the design and decoration of the two tombs are strikingly similar, there is a crucial distinction. I's tomb is fit for a king, boasting a much larger and more impressive layout compared to the relatively understated resting place of Tutankhamun. The mysteries of ancient tombs, a journey through time. When we delve into the world of ancient tombs, two notable ones spring to mind, those of Tutankhamun and his predecessor. While both tombs share similarities in style and artistry, there's a significant distinction. Tutankhamun's resting place is truly fit for a king. It's not only larger but also far more impressive than the other. So what led to this disparity? Historians speculate that the decisions regarding the construction of these tombs were influenced by their builders. Tutankhamun's untimely death at just 18 years old left his grand tomb incomplete. Typically, Egyptian pharaohs would begin constructing their burial sites during their lifetimes to ensure every detail was just right. However, in this case, time was not on his side. What if I told you that someone may have capitalized on this unforeseen circumstance? It's believed that a smaller tomb was commissioned for Tutankhamun, allowing for a larger, more elaborate one to be reserved for himself by his advisor, I. This theory sheds light on why Tutankhamun's tomb appears relatively simple and how his legacy was nearly erased from history. But the saga of King Tut's mask and tomb is steeped in mystery and intrigue. With every new discovery, we inch closer to understanding the true events of that ancient era. One thing is certain. The secrets of ancient Egypt are far from exhausted, and the allure of King Tutankhamun will continue to captivate audiences for generations. Now, before we explore the reasons and origins of pyramids scattered across the globe, let's take a closer look at some fascinating examples. Allow me to introduce you to the Pyramid of the Sun in Mexico. This ancient civilization truly mastered the art of urban planning, as evidenced by their sprawling city that spans over 7 square miles, complete with multiple pyramids. Yet, none are as awe-inspiring as the Pyramid of the Sun itself. Constructed around 100 CE, this monumental pyramid stands as one of the largest structures of its kind in the entire Western Hemisphere, reaching an astonishing height of 216 feet. If you ever find yourself wandering through this ancient city, the Pyramid of the Sun will be impossible to overlook, located prominently on the eastern side of the Avenue of the Dead, the city's main thoroughfare. To create this architectural marvel, approximately 1 million cubic yards of material were utilized, including a unique type of red volcanic rock known as hutantal. Fascinating, isn't it? Despite its grandeur, we know little about the civilization that erected the Pyramid of the Sun or its specific purpose. Archaeologists theorize that a temple once crowned its peak. When explorers ventured beneath the pyramid in the 1970s, they unearthed an intricate network of tunnels and chambers. Then, in 2011, a hidden cache of clay pots, obsidian shards, animal bones, human figurines, and even a mask was discovered. Who knows what other secrets this pyramid may still conceal? Should you decide to visit, be prepared to ascend its 248 uneven steps on the west side. Just remember to watch your footing. Now, let's shift our focus to the Nubian pyramids. While not as colossal as their Egyptian counterparts, these pyramids, numbering around 200, served as tombs for the pharaohs of the Meroitic kingdom for nearly a millennium. This kingdom once ruled over Egypt, extending from Nubia to the Mediterranean Sea. The pyramids at Meroe were constructed using granite and reddish sandstone. Did you know that Sudan boasts more ancient pyramids than Egypt itself? The Kushite pyramids reflect the unique architectural style and burial customs of Nubia's Napatan and Meroitic kingdoms, which were influenced by ancient Egypt. The burial site of over 40 kings and queens is the largest Nubian pyramid complex, revealing murals of mummified royalty adorned in jewelry, with their wooden coffins containing bows, quivers of arrows, and various artifacts hinting at the Meroitic trade with Egyptian and Greek civilizations. So, if you're in search of ancient tombs to explore, consider skipping the crowds in Egypt and heading to Sudan instead. Now, let's take off to Iraq to uncover more pyramid-like structures. Here we find ziggurats, distinctive structures characterized by their tiered design, resembling a slice of cake. These impressive edifices served important ceremonial purposes and can be found throughout Iraq and Iran, standing as a testament to the architectural prowess of their creators. One of the most remarkable ziggurats is the Ziggurat of Ur, a colossal rectangular pyramid that towers between 70 to 100 feet high, complete with 3 levels of terraces and a temple at the summit. Can you imagine the number of baked bricks required for its construction? A staggering 720,000 bricks were used just for the lower tier. This particular ziggurat was commissioned by the Sumerian king Ur-Nammu. Like many ancient structures, it has weathered centuries of time, but thankfully, restoration efforts by the Babylonian king Nebuchadnezzar II and archaeologists in the 6th and 20th centuries have preserved its majesty. Today, visitors can find the Ziggurat of Ur near the Talal Air Base. Originally built around 2100 BCE for the moon deity Nana, the Ziggurat of Ur was the tallest structure in the city, visible from afar, much like a medieval cathedral spire. It served as a gathering place for people to bring their agricultural surplus and partake in rituals, solidifying its role in the life of the ancient city. The journey through these ancient wonders reveals the ingenuity and ambition of civilizations that came long before us, each structure holding stories waiting to be uncovered. The majestic pyramids, a journey through time. Imagine standing before the tallest structure in the city, its towering presence visible from miles away. This monumental edifice resembled the grand cathedral spires of medieval times. People flocked here, not only to bring their agricultural surplus but also to receive their food rations and seek spiritual enlightenment. Sadly, the revered Nana temple crowning the ziggurat has not withstood the test of time. Yet we do have remnants, some exquisite blue-glazed bricks that might have adorned its exterior. But let's take a moment to appreciate the astonishing lower sections of the ziggurat. The architects of this ancient marvel ingeniously designed ventilation holes in the temple's baked outer layer, allowing moisture to escape and preserving the structure from the elements. Now, as we pivot our gaze from this singular ziggurat, let's broaden our perspective to explore pyramids that dot the globe. Did you know that Egypt boasts over 100 pyramids? That number is eclipsed by Sudan, which has twice as many. Additionally, you can find countless others scattered across the Middle East and even China. However, the Americas hold the record for the most pyramids worldwide, with a staggering quantity surpassing that of the rest of the globe combined. These remarkable structures can be found in Mexico, Guatemala, Honduras, and El Salvador. Are you ready to dive deeper into the fascinating evolution of pyramids throughout history? The title of the oldest pyramid belongs to the Step Pyramid of Djoser, built by stacking stone layers atop one another. Pharaoh Sneferu is credited with perfecting the pyramid shape we recognize today. During his impressive 45-year reign, he constructed 3 pyramids, but it was his final attempt, the Red Pyramid, that marked the first true pyramid. Following in his father's footsteps, Sneferu's son, Khufu, constructed the Great Pyramid of Giza, which stood as the tallest human-made structure on Earth for nearly 4,000 years. Interestingly, Latin American pyramids share similarities with the early Egyptian step pyramids, yet they were developed independently with no cross-cultural exchanges. The pyramids in Sudan, built around 700 BCE, are notably tall but considerably narrower than their Egyptian counterparts. How extraordinary is it that these diverse civilizations, with their rich cultural differences, managed to construct such monumental structures without any form of communication. The Aztecs, Mayans, and ancient Egyptians were worlds apart, yet they all shared a common admiration for pyramids. So what made step pyramids so widespread? Simply put, they were the most practical and stable method for erecting large, towering structures, especially in the absence of lighter materials like wood and metal. The triangular shape with a square base provides optimal stability, while a cubic structure would require more resources for less height. When it comes to design, Egyptian pyramids resemble giant triangles with smooth sides and a pointed apex. In contrast, the Aztecs and Mayans opted for a tiered cake appearance, complete with steps leading to a flat platform at the summit. Each civilization infused its unique flair into their pyramids, employing various materials, techniques, and slope angles. While they occasionally drew inspiration from one another, they also pursued their individual architectural visions. Egyptian pyramids featured smooth, angled sides, intentionally crafted to facilitate the pharaoh's soul's ascent to the heavens. The Pyramid of the Sun, for instance, was strategically built over a network of caves that served as sacred passageways for deities. The Mayans constructed the Temple of Kukulkan in Chichen Itza to honor the serpent deity, affectionately nicknamed El Castillo. This impressive structure boasts 91 steps on each side, along with an additional platform that adds up to 365 steps, one for each day on the Mayan calendar. So, how were these magnificent pyramids constructed? Contrary to popular myths, they were built by humans, not extraterrestrial beings. What's fascinating is that all pyramids share a common trait. They were erected without advanced tools or even the wheel. The construction of these colossal structures required the labor of thousands, including skilled artisans and architects. Estimates suggest that around 20,000 individuals contributed to the construction of the Great Pyramid of Giza, with most of them being skilled laborers. Building a pyramid was no small feat. It demanded years of meticulous planning and hard work. For example, the Great Pyramid in Mexico took a staggering 600 years to complete. Now, let's consider an intriguing question. What on earth is a boat doing in the middle of a desert? You might expect to find a seafaring vessel near the shore, not far from the arid sands. This puzzling conundrum has captivated archaeologists for decades. In 1988, after a storm near one of ancient Egypt's most significant archaeological sites, a wooden structure surfaced from the sand, hollowed out by termites. Determined to unravel this mystery, scientists began excavations in 2000 near Abydos, and an American team of experts uncovered a remarkable 70-foot-long boat. Surprisingly, this was not the only discovery. They found a total of 14 boats, all neatly aligned. Due to the fragile condition of these artifacts, complete excavation proved impossible. However, the wood was well preserved enough to allow for analysis, revealing that these remarkable vessels date back approximately 5,000 years, making them the oldest fleet in human history to this day. So, as we explore the rich tapestry of pyramid construction and the mysteries surrounding them, we can only wonder, what secrets lie buried beneath the sands, waiting to be uncovered? A remarkable discovery. The ancient fleet of Abydos. Imagine stumbling upon a treasure trove from 5,000 years ago, a time when the world was vastly different. This is precisely what happened when researchers delved into a remarkable find. An ancient fleet of boats in Abydos, Egypt, which stands as the oldest known collection of maritime vessels in human history. Intriguingly, these boats predate the construction of the Great Pyramids of Giza by an astonishing 500 years. Each ship was carefully housed in a vault tailored to its dimensions, creating a space roughly 1/3 the size of a tennis court. The walls were constructed from mud bricks and adorned with over 120 stunning drawings of boats, skillfully painted on pristine whitewashed surfaces that have been remarkably preserved through the centuries. The existence of these enigmatic chambers has been known to scientists for over a century. In 1901, British archaeologist Arthur White discovered a peculiar structure west of the Nile River, catching a glimpse of the interior walls. However, a partial roof collapse forced the team to halt their exploration. Although researchers abandoned the site, its location remained noted on the maps, sparking curiosity for years to come. Initially, scientists believed the boats were situated along the banks of the mighty Nile. But here's the twist. Today, the river flows nearly 7 miles west of Abydos. Further investigations into the surrounding landscape revealed that the Nile has maintained its course throughout history. Additionally, if the boats had floated near a dock, they would have been in precarious positions. The 14 vessels at Abydos, however, were perfectly aligned parallel to one another, leading researchers to a compelling conclusion. These boats had been intentionally placed there, a feat that required considerable effort. Each vessel was designed to accommodate up to 30 rowers, indicating that they were not mere models, but substantial crafts. Yet, scholars still grapple with whether they ever sailed on any body of water in ancient Egypt. This uncertainty does not diminish the significance of the find, especially considering that prior discoveries had yielded only small-scale models. For instance, within King Tutankhamun's tomb alone, there were 35 boat models, which had long served as the primary clues about the appearance of ancient Egyptian vessels. The design of the boats from Abydos confirms their authenticity as the earliest surviving examples of built boats. While ancient civilizations crafted primitive vessels by hollowing out large tree trunks or binding reeds together to form rafts, the innovation exhibited in the planked construction of the Abydos boats marked a major leap in shipbuilding technology. During their time, these vessels would have been truly impressive. Timber was a precious commodity, and with no wood to be found in the desert, cedar had to be imported from Lebanon. Only the pharaoh could afford such opulence. Further exploration of the area surrounding the ancient fleet has yielded even more fascinating insights. Researchers uncovered a mud brick structure where the ancient Egyptians worshipped the pharaoh, dating to the same period as the wooden boats. The very bricks used to construct this building were also employed to encase the fleet during its creation. The rooms housing the boats featured ceilings that archaeologists discovered in the early 20th century, revealing a scene reminiscent of mummies and coffins resting within splendid vaults. The exterior of these rooms was equally striking, originally coated with a layer of white limestone plaster that reflected sunlight brilliantly in the desert. The structure housing the boats must have shimmered from miles away, much like how ancient Egyptian builders later covered the pyramids, a technique that would be perfected 500 years later. Today, the pyramid surfaces appear jagged, but at the time of their construction, they were smooth and gleaming, crafted with a top layer of fine white limestone. As archaeologists pieced together this ancient narrative, one question lingered. Which pharaoh owned this remarkable fleet? The answer lay just a mile away, within the tomb of Pharaoh Senusret III from the 5th dynasty. The timing and architectural style of the chambers housing the boats align seamlessly with those of his burial site. It's plausible that the pharaoh passed away in northern Egypt, and in a grand procession aboard decorated boats, his body was transported down the Nile to Abydos. This journey held significant symbolic meaning in the belief system of ancient Egyptians. Ships played a crucial role in their mythology, especially in relation to their supreme deity, Ra. During the day, Ra traversed the sky as the sun, while at night, he sailed through the underworld in a solar boat. The pharaoh, identifying himself with Ra, required boats for the afterlife, embodying the cycle of life and regeneration, akin to the sun rising each day. This belief system endured for millennia, and even the more renowned Pharaoh Khufu had a ship discovered in 1954, located near his pyramid at Giza, a vessel that is approximately 4 centuries younger than the fleet at Abydos. The story of the ancient fleet is not just a tale of boats, but a glimpse into the profound beliefs and advancements of a civilization that continues to captivate our imaginations today. The secrets lurking beneath the sands of time. Did you know that for thousands of years, the belief in the power of the afterlife drove monumental constructions in ancient Egypt? Among these wonders, the illustrious pharaoh Khufu is known for his massive ship, discovered by scientists in 1954 beside his pyramid at Giza. This vessel is roughly 4 centuries younger than the fleet unearthed at Abydos, yet Khufu's ship is nearly twice as long as the Great Pyramid itself. The Great Pyramid of Giza and the tomb of King Tutankhamun are among the most celebrated archaeological discoveries in Egypt. But what if I told you there are countless other treasures buried beneath the Sahara Desert's endless sands? In a groundbreaking find in 2020, archaeologists stumbled upon a forgotten city that has been hailed as the most significant discovery since King Tut's tomb was uncovered in 1922. This ancient city, known as Aten, dates back approximately 3,000 years. Historians are eager to explore its secrets, as it promises unparalleled insights into the daily lives of ancient Egyptians. The renowned archaeologist and Egyptologist Zahi Hawass has dubbed it the Lost Golden City. Located about 300 miles south of Cairo, near the famed Valley of the Kings, Aten is a treasure trove of history. Archaeologists first came across sections of mudbrick walls that stretch out in all directions, revealing complete rooms filled with tools and artifacts from everyday life. The research team uncovered a bakery, a residential neighborhood, and even an administrative district, all dating back to when Egyptian civilization reached the pinnacle of its wealth and influence. But that's not all. In 1911, a remarkable discovery was made near the village of Elza in Lower Egypt. A set of iron beads that are the oldest known iron artifacts in history. Can you believe that these beads were crafted from a meteorite? The 9 beads, once part of an ornate necklace, have endured the ravages of time, now blackened and corroded after more than 5,000 years. They consist of an iron-nickel alloy, showcasing the incredible craftsmanship of ancient jewelers who shaped them without any knowledge of their cosmic origins. The Great Pyramid of Giza itself boasts an astonishing feature that has piqued the interest of researchers worldwide. An international team studied the electromagnetic response of this monumental structure to radio waves, discovering that it can concentrate electromagnetic energy within its chambers and beneath its base. This phenomenon appears to be linked to the limestone, the primary material used in constructing the Great Pyramid. The insights gleaned from this research could enhance the functionality of solar cells and nanosensors, showcasing the pyramid's relevance even in modern science. Now, let's journey back nearly 5,000 years to ancient Egypt, around 2550 BC, when the construction of the Great Pyramids of Giza began. While humans have since mastered the art of building cathedrals and skyscrapers, the methods employed to erect these colossal pyramids remain a mystery even to contemporary scientists. No wonder they are counted among the 7 wonders of the ancient world. They are the oldest and the only ones still standing in the 21st century. Constructing such massive structures required immense resources and labor, even by today's standards. Interestingly, the Giza pyramids were not the first of their kind. The first pyramid, known as the Step Pyramid, was completed around 2630 BC for King Djoser, roughly 80 years before the first Pyramid of Giza. Originally intended as a simple tomb, it evolved into an impressive architectural feat, a 6-stepped pyramid standing 24 feet high, equivalent to a 19-story building, making it the tallest structure of its time. Surrounding this pyramid was an entire complex, including courtyards and other buildings. In ancient Egypt, belief in the afterlife was paramount, and kings ensured they were well prepared for their journey into eternity. The pyramid complex was stocked with everyday items needed for the afterlife, including furniture, food, and golden vessels. After Djoser, the practice of pyramid building became widespread, although many projects remained unfinished due to the short reigns of subsequent rulers. It typically took about 20 years to construct a single pyramid, yet some pharaohs ruled for much less. Today, we know of over 100 pyramids, but the most famous among them are the Great Pyramids of Giza. The first and largest pyramid, built for Pharaoh Khufu around 2550 BC, originally stood at an impressive 481 feet, equivalent to a 40-story building. The second pyramid was constructed for Khufu's son, Pharaoh Khafre, around 2520 BC, slightly shorter at 471 feet, about the height of a 39-story building. This pyramid is also home to the iconic statue of the Sphinx, a creature with a lion's body and a human head, which serves as a guardian of ancient secrets. As we peel back the layers of history, the stories and discoveries of ancient Egypt continue to captivate and intrigue us. What other mysteries lie hidden beneath the sands, waiting to be uncovered? Did you know that the Great Pyramid of Giza stands at an impressive 471 feet tall? That's the height of a 39-story building. This magnificent structure is home to the iconic statue of the Sphinx, a creature with the body of a lion and the head of a human. These statues were constructed to guard significant sites, and this particular Sphinx features the head of Pharaoh Khafre, vigilantly watching over his pyramid as it faces the rising sun. The Sphinx is not only the most renowned statue in the world, but it also holds the title of one of the largest and oldest statues known to humanity. Originally, it was adorned with a striking red hue and had a nose, remnants of which can still be spotted near its ears. However, the mystery of when the nose vanished remains unsolved. For a considerable period, the Sphinx was partially concealed beneath sand, buried up to its shoulders. Fortunately, in the early 1800s, a daring adventurer, accompanied by a team of 160 workers, unearthed this majestic figure. Now, let's turn our attention to the third pyramid of Giza, the smallest among the trio. Standing at just over half the height of its larger counterparts, it originally reached 218 feet, roughly the equivalent of a 20-story building. Constructed around 2490 BC, this pyramid served as the final resting place for Pharaoh Khafre's son, Menkaure. Did you know that the design of these pyramids was meticulously planned to align with the cardinal points? Each side symbolizes the rays of the sun. Remarkably, ancient Egyptians managed to determine these directions without compasses, utilizing two constellations to achieve extraordinary precision in their alignments. Originally, the pyramids were clad in smooth white limestone, topped with a dazzling gold or silver apex to reflect sunlight in a breathtaking display. Sadly, much of this pristine limestone was repurposed by subsequent rulers for their own constructions, leaving the pyramids we see today a shadow of their former glory. Scientists estimate that the ancient Egyptians utilized around 2 million blocks of stone in their ambitious pyramid-building endeavors. The secrets of the pyramids, unraveling ancient mysteries. Imagine standing before a towering pyramid, its golden peak glinting under the sun's rays. This awe-inspiring structure, adorned with silver tops, has long been a testament to the ingenuity of ancient civilizations. Yet, what lies beneath this magnificent facade? Did you know that the ancient Egyptians utilized approximately 2.3 million stone blocks to construct the first pyramid? Each of these monumental blocks weighed over a ton, equivalent to the heft of a rhinoceros. Some were even larger, tipping the scales at nearly the weight of an elephant. Remarkably, this engineering marvel was achieved more than 4.5 millennia ago, without any modern machinery, wheels, or even steel. The only metal at their disposal was copper. Despite the passage of time, scientists still grapple with the methods employed by the Egyptians to erect these colossal structures. Curiously, there are no surviving records that illuminate their techniques. Some speculate that the Egyptians deliberately concealed their construction methods, choosing not to document them. Contrary to popular belief, the builders of the pyramids were not mere laborers or foreigners. They were skilled craftsmen, well-fed and adequately compensated. Archaeologists have uncovered evidence indicating that these builders lived in a nearby temporary city, forming a highly organized community under a strong leadership. It is estimated that around 20,000 individuals contributed to each pyramid complex, with the entire construction process spanning about 20 years. This was no small endeavor. It was a national project, drawing resources and provisions from every corner of Egypt. Yet, even with ample support, the question remains: how did they manage to quarry, transport, and assemble these immense stones? One prevailing theory suggests that the stones were transported via boats along the Nile River. The challenge arose when it came to moving them to the construction site. It is believed that wooden sleds were used for this purpose. Surprisingly, pulling these sleds wasn't as arduous as one might think. When sand was mixed with just the right amount of water, it became quite slick. 10 individuals could effortlessly move a sled, even with a 1-ton stone aboard. Now let's address one final hurdle: lifting and positioning the stones. Archaeologists have discovered remnants of a ramp system dating back to the time of the pyramid's construction. It is likely that the Egyptians devised a unique method for maneuvering these massive stone blocks, though the exact design remains a mystery. The most widely accepted theory posits that multiple ramps encircled the pyramid, growing in height alongside the structure. Workers could ascend these ramps, pulling stones on wooden sleds up the sandy inclines. However, alternative theories suggest ramps may have spiraled around the pyramid or even existed within its interior. The true method may never be known, perpetuating the enigma that the ancient Egyptians sought to preserve. Curiously, the interior of the pyramids is rather sparse. Much of it consists of solid stone with minimal open space. However, let's take a closer look at the largest of the Giza pyramids. As you enter, you'll find 2 staircases, one descending and the other ascending. The staircase leading down takes you to an underground chamber, a resting place for pharaohs, yet not for Khufu, who preferred to remain aloft. This subterranean room is partly unfinished. Instead, Khufu's sarcophagus resides in the king's chamber, located higher up, which can be reached via the impressive Grand Gallery. Interestingly, adjacent to the king's chamber is the so-called Queen's Chamber, though no queens were interred there, and the reason behind its name remains a mystery. Regrettably, these chambers lack hieroglyphics. Their walls are bare. To witness the artistry of ancient Egypt, one would need to explore other decorated rooms, where vibrant depictions reflect the culture and daily life of the time. These artworks provide invaluable insights into their language and grammar. Sadly, the treasures that once adorned these spaces have long since been plundered. Beneath the surface, a labyrinth of tunnels and passages weaves through the pyramids. Scientists have been deploying tiny robots equipped with cameras for decades, and these explorations have revealed an additional chamber with hieroglyphs on its walls. Even today, much of the pyramids remains shrouded in mystery, with no definitive blueprints to guide our understanding. The Egyptians created a puzzle that has eluded solution for over 4,500 years. Recently, scientists have begun using X-ray technology to peer inside the pyramids without physically entering their narrow, enigmatic tunnels. Now, let's pivot to an unexpected connection. Have you heard of Nikola Tesla? You may be familiar with his groundbreaking discoveries, but what if I told you that he might have stumbled upon the ancient enigma surrounding the pyramids? Wait, what's this? A crossover of ideas? Not quite. It's highly plausible that the secrets of the pyramids are hidden right before our eyes. But first, let's recap what we know about these ancient wonders. What is it that makes them so shrouded in mystery? Unveiling the secrets of the pyramids. Could it be that the mysteries of the pyramids lie right before our eyes? Before we dive into that tantalizing question, let's take a moment to recap what we know about these iconic structures. What makes them so enigmatic? After all, aren't they just ancient, peculiar buildings? One of the most significant queries surrounding the pyramids is how they were constructed. Some believe they were entirely built by human hands and sheer muscle power, while others speculate that there might have been an extraordinary energy source at play, something beyond our current understanding. Imagine for a moment, what if extraterrestrial beings lent a hand in their construction? Just kidding. But the notion of an unknown energy source aiding in the pyramid's creation has been a topic of speculation for centuries. Even ancient texts, like the pyramid texts, allude to divine assistance in harnessing great power for construction. Could it be that an extraordinary force was at work back then? In the early 1900s, Nikola Tesla developed a profound fascination with Egypt's Great Pyramids. He pored over countless books and was mesmerized by the seemingly boundless energy they exuded. At that time, knowledge about electricity was still in its infancy, prompting Tesla to ponder whether there was advanced technology hidden within the pyramid's massive stone blocks. His theory connected the pyramids to the principles of electromagnetism, and he dedicated significant effort to unraveling their mysteries. Tesla proposed some unconventional theories about the Great Pyramids. He believed they could both store and transmit electricity, potentially powering the surrounding areas. Adding another layer to his hypotheses, Tesla suggested that the pyramids were built with some form of crystal energy. He posited that their inner chambers might house powerful crystals capable of influencing electromagnetic fields. But there was more. Tesla theorized that the materials used in constructing the pyramids had unique properties, allowing them to capture energy from the sun and moon. He envisioned these colossal structures generating vast energy fields, illuminating entire cities or dispelling darkness in remote areas. In his mind, the pyramids could serve as monumental power plants, generating electricity and operating machinery. Tesla also speculated that the pyramids were connected to cosmic energy, which could foster spiritual enlightenment and healing, a rather modern twist on ancient architecture. Despite the unconventional nature of his ideas, Tesla was far from whimsical. He thoroughly investigated every aspect of the pyramids, from ancient artifacts and texts to hieroglyphics and illustrations. He concluded that the pyramids were engineered as energy amplifiers, constructed with some mysterious energy source. While many dismiss Tesla's theories as eccentric, his insights have profoundly influenced contemporary perspectives on the pyramids. For years, researchers and scholars have delved into Tesla's theories, using them to illuminate some of the greatest enigmas surrounding these ancient edifices. Recently, scientists employed theoretical physics to explore how the Great Pyramid of Egypt responds to specific radio waves. Their findings were captivating. They discovered that if the radio waves were of a particular length, the pyramid could concentrate energy within its chambers and direct it beneath its base. To arrive at this conclusion, scientists conducted extensive calculations. They first identified which radio wavelengths would be most effective, then created a model to predict the pyramid's reaction to these waves. They analyzed how much energy would be absorbed or dispersed and studied the energy's movement within the pyramid structure upon impact. To clarify their findings, the scientists utilized a method known as multipole analysis. This approach involves deconstructing a complex object into simpler components to observe how each interacts with incoming energy. It's akin to taking apart a puzzle to understand how its pieces fit together. The researchers are keen on applying their discoveries to future innovations. They aim to create minuscule particles that replicate the pyramid's energy manipulation but with light. By altering the size, shape, and material of these particles, they could control how light navigates around them. This breakthrough could pave the way for advancements in tiny sensors and highly efficient solar cells. While conducting their research, the scientists had to make some assumptions, such as the absence of hidden spaces within the pyramid and the uniformity of its building materials. Nevertheless, even with these presumptions, their discoveries have been nothing short of remarkable. Tesla's explorations into the pyramids represent just one facet of his visionary work. Many of his projects, once deemed unrealistic, are now being reassessed by scientists and enthusiasts alike. What else might we uncover about this brilliant mind and the ancient structures that have captivated humanity for millennia? The journey into the unknown continues, with each revelation leading us closer to the secrets that have long eluded us. The pyramid study isn't the sole testament to Nikola Tesla's ahead-of-his-time brilliance. Numerous other projects of his, once deemed unrealistic, are now being reevaluated and pursued by modern scientists and enthusiasts alike. Let's delve into one of Tesla's most ambitious endeavors, the Wardenclyffe Transmission Tower. By the year 1900, Tesla had already established himself as a prominent figure in America's electrical engineering scene. His remarkable inventions left people in awe, especially when he managed to outshine Thomas Edison in the infamous Battle of the Currents. Yet, rather than resting on his laurels, Tesla was determined to take on an even grander challenge: the construction of the Wardenclyffe Tower. Built between 1901 and 1905, this tower was founded on one of Tesla's groundbreaking concepts. He envisioned an extraordinary global wireless communication system that would utilize the Earth itself as a conductor, enabling the transmission of music, news, stock market updates, secure military communications, and even facsimile images. Sound familiar? It's strikingly similar to the internet we rely on today, except without any wires. But Tesla's ambitions reached even higher. He aimed to transmit power wirelessly. He had already demonstrated that high-frequency signals could be sent without wires using his Tesla coil transformers, igniting his obsession with wireless energy transmission. His vision extended beyond communication. He sought a method to transfer electrical power globally by harnessing the Earth's natural energy. Tesla believed that there was a vast reservoir of free energy surrounding us, ripe for harnessing for the benefit of humanity. In 1899, he conducted a series of top-secret experiments that convinced him it was feasible to transmit electrical power through the Earth's upper atmosphere. This groundbreaking idea led to the creation of the Wardenclyffe Tower, designed to serve as a prototype for a global network of towers that would provide wireless energy to the world. Unfortunately, Tesla faced significant financial hurdles and lacked the patience of his investors to see this project come to fruition. By 1917, the unfinished tower was dismantled for scrap metal, a desperate measure to settle Tesla's mounting debts. Today, it stands as a somber reminder that even the greatest minds can sometimes fall short of their aspirations. However, the original red brick laboratory remains the only Tesla lab to survive. Here's an intriguing tidbit. In 2017, a film crew made an astonishing discovery. They utilized ground-penetrating radar to investigate the area surrounding Wardenclyffe and uncovered an extensive network of tunnels stretching for hundreds of feet beneath the site. The purpose of these tunnels remains a mystery, but speculation has persisted for years that they were part of Tesla's grand vision. Wardenclyffe is now a significant landmark for Tesla enthusiasts worldwide. Who knows, perhaps one day someone will finally unravel the mystery of those tunnels. Regardless, the legacy of Tesla and his extraordinary ideas continues to endure. Now, shifting gears to another marvel of history. The Great Pyramid, built as the final resting place for the ancient Egyptian monarch Khufu. Legend has it that French leader Napoleon ventured inside the Great Pyramid and emerged visibly shaken and pale. He never disclosed what he witnessed, but whatever it was, it supposedly haunted him for the rest of his life. Upon entering the pyramid, Napoleon would have navigated a narrow, ascending passageway, leading him to the Great Chamber, which featured a much taller corridor lined with massive granite blocks. However, the king's chamber, the focal point of the Great Pyramid, would not have appeared as grand as one might envision. There were no hieroglyphics adorning its walls, as the Egyptians began decorating burial chambers long after the pyramids were constructed. Deep within the pyramid, the pharaoh's tomb would have been laden with treasures, gold chunks and the world's most exquisite jewelry, but these riches were likely looted long ago. The only remnants would have been a massive sarcophagus, which once held the king's mummy. As he passed through, Napoleon would have encountered the queen's chamber, a space that likely housed no queens, as pyramids were typically constructed for a single individual. Mysterious tunnels lead from here, and their purpose remains uncertain to this day. This isn't the only eerie aspect of Napoleon's experience. Tales of pharaohs cursing those who dared to disturb their resting places date back centuries. Many pyramids bore warnings inscribed on their exteriors, foretelling dreadful consequences for those who entered and disrupted the peace. While we may not know the exact details of Napoleon's encounter, one thing is certain. The mysteries of the pyramids continue to captivate our imaginations. The pyramids of ancient Egypt are steeped in mystery and intrigue, with many featuring ominous warnings inscribed on their exteriors. These inscriptions warned of terrifying consequences for anyone who dared to disturb the tranquility within. While we may never fully understand what frightened Napoleon during his exploration of the Great Pyramid, we do have a clearer picture of what was discovered in the tomb of the young pharaoh Tutankhamun. Imagine a boy of only 8 or 9 years old ascending to the throne of Egypt. This was Tutankhamun, whose tomb was unearthed almost entirely intact in 1922, capturing the world's attention and sparking a cultural phenomenon. His pyramid, nestled in the Valley of the Kings in modern Luxor, Egypt, stands in stark contrast to the Great Pyramid, adorned instead with exquisite wall decorations. These murals narrate the story of Tutankhamun's journey through the underworld to the afterlife, a path every Egyptian was believed to traverse. The ancient Egyptians filled their tombs with a wealth of objects and vibrant paintings, believing these items would aid them in their journey beyond. Among the treasures in Tutankhamun's tomb were spells painted on the walls, intended to help the deceased transition to the next realm. The journey was thought to be long, prompting the Egyptians to stock their pyramids with provisions, including food. Tutankhamun's tomb boasted 8 baskets of fruit, with an intriguing find of gingerbread fruit. The chambers were overflowing with furniture, statues, clothing, and an array of other artifacts. In addition to the everyday items, the tomb contained an impressive collection of garments and jewelry. The ancient Egyptians wanted their ancestors to travel in style to the afterlife, and Tutankhamun's final resting place held over 50 exquisite pieces of clothing. These included tunics, scarves, gloves, and headdresses, alongside an abundance of jewelry, bracelets, pendants, necklaces, rings, and protective scarabs, all crafted from gold and precious stones. They even placed fans made from ostrich feathers inside to keep the young pharaoh cool under the hot Egyptian sun. Though intriguingly, the temperature inside the pyramids never exceeded 68 degrees Fahrenheit. The ancient Egyptians had developed a sophisticated cooling system that continues to baffle modern scientists. Tutankhamun's pyramid also featured 130 walking sticks made of ebony, ivory, silver, and gold to assist him on his journey. Additionally, 3 chariots were carefully hidden within, prepared for when he might tire of walking. Interestingly, 11 boat paddles were included, yet no boat was ever found. The pyramids were often infused with the pharaoh's favorite scents and perfumes. However, during the excavation of Tutankhamun's pyramid, it quickly became apparent that tomb raiders had struck long ago. Evidence of damage to doors and remnants of oils in empty jars indicated that someone had ransacked the tomb in search of gold and the fragrant oils meant for King Tut. Still, a trace of perfume made from coconut oil and frankincense survived in one bottle. It appears that Pharaoh Tutankhamun had a fondness for board games. An ivory traveling set of senet was discovered within his tomb, a game that resembles an ancient Egyptian version of backgammon. While the precise rules remain a mystery, it seems the aim of the game was to outmaneuver your opponent off the board. One can only wonder who Tutankhamun played with, given that the ancient Egyptians had some unusual customs. For instance, they would shave their eyebrows in mourning for a lost cat, so it's not surprising that some peculiar items were found in their pyramids. Archaeologists have uncovered mummified cats and scarab beetles in pyramids dating back more than 4,000 years, particularly within the structures at Saqqara, located south of Cairo. A variety of makeup kits and mirrors were also discovered, indicating that both men and women proudly wore cosmetics in ancient Egypt, with eyeliner being the most popular choice. One of the most significant archaeological finds was the Rosetta Stone, unearthed by none other than Napoleon Bonaparte and his team. This black granite relic, dating back to 196 BCE, is inscribed in Greek, Demotic, and hieroglyphics. Its translation in 1822 unlocked the key to understanding ancient Egyptian hieroglyphics for the very first time. The discovery of Queen Hatshepsut's mummy in 1903 profoundly transformed our understanding of ancient Egypt. Following her death, her successor, Thutmose III, sought to erase her legacy, leaving us with scant knowledge of Egypt's first great female ruler. Hatshepsut is now celebrated as one of the few and most renowned female pharaohs in history. In an astounding revelation, archaeologists uncovered more than 1,200 pieces of a colossal boat buried near the Great Pyramid of Giza, attributed to Pharaoh Khufu. This impressive vessel, measuring an astounding 144 feet in length, is believed to have been a solar boat, intended to carry the resurrected king alongside the deity Ra. Isn't it amazing how these ancient wonders continue to reveal secrets of a bygone era? Did you know that the ancient Egyptians crafted an astonishing boat, measuring a remarkable 144 feet in length, right at the base of the Great Pyramid of Giza? This magnificent vessel was likely a solar boat, specifically designed to transport the resurrected pharaoh alongside the sun god Ra. Now, let's take a moment to appreciate the significance of the Pyramid of Giza. It stands as the last surviving monument of the 7 wonders of the ancient world. Can you name the others? They include the Hanging Gardens, the Colossus of Rhodes, the Temple of Artemis, the Mausoleum at Halicarnassus, the Lighthouse of Alexandria, and the statue of Zeus at Olympia. Each of these wonders has its own story, but none have endured the test of time quite like the Great Pyramid. Interestingly, this iconic pyramid held the title of the tallest man-made structure in the world for an impressive 3,800 years. Even today, it remains the largest pyramid in Egypt, captivating the imagination of millions. And here's a staggering fact. It took an astonishing 2.3 million blocks of stone to construct this monumental edifice. So, as you contemplate the grandeur of the Great Pyramid, consider how it continues to inspire awe and wonder in those who visit it, even after millennia. The Great Pyramid, a marvel of ancient engineering. Imagine standing before the Great Pyramid of Giza, a colossal monument that has fascinated humanity for millennia. This structure, along with the Lighthouse of Alexandria and the statue of Zeus, once stood as one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world. Did you know that the Great Pyramid was the tallest man-made structure on Earth for an astonishing 3,800 years? Towering at a staggering height, it remains the largest pyramid in Egypt, constructed using an astonishing 2.3 million blocks of limestone, some weighing as much as 80 tons. This incredible feat of engineering required the labor of about 100,000 workers and took a whopping 23 years to complete. Originally, it soared to an impressive height of 480 feet. But in 2017, archaeologists uncovered something truly intriguing. A hidden void inside the Great Pyramid, measuring at least 100 feet in length. The purpose of this mysterious cavity remains a puzzle, as does the question of what lies within. This void is the first significant internal structure found within the 500-year-old pyramid since the 1800s. Using cosmic rays, scientists detected this massive hidden space, yet they still grapple with understanding its significance. The ancient Egyptians meticulously constructed the pyramids, ensuring that every element was strategically placed and structurally sound. Therefore, it seems highly unlikely that the void is merely a result of shifting blocks over time. Interestingly, many pyramids housed small figurines known as ushabti, which were believed to come to life in the afterlife to serve the pharaohs. These tiny statues reflect the deep reverence the Egyptians had for their leaders. However, what's truly astonishing is how all these elements were integrated within the pyramid's limited interior space, which is predominantly comprised of solid rock. Now, picture yourself on a vast construction site, working tirelessly alongside thousands of others. Day in and day out, you and your fellow laborers haul millions of stone blocks, stacking them meticulously according to a complex system, all without the benefit of modern machinery. With no air conditioning or easy access to water, the scorching heat can make it feel as if you could fry an egg on the pavement. After decades of laboring on this monumental project, you finally stand back to admire the result. A magnificent cultural landmark that will endure for millennia, captivating generations to come. Fast forward a few thousand years to the 21st century, and people gaze upon the pyramids in awe, marveling at the sheer scale of human achievement. But the very builders of these wonders might not have shared that sentiment. Surprisingly, evidence suggests that they employed advanced technology in their construction methods. While at first glance, the Great Pyramid appears to be a simple triangular structure of stone, the design is astonishingly precise, with over 2 million blocks fitted together so seamlessly that not even a thin sheet of paper could slip between them. Despite ongoing research, scientists remain baffled by the exact techniques the Egyptians used to construct their pyramids. The Great Pyramid of Giza, the most renowned of them all, harbors a significant secret. It once featured a capstone, a triangular stone block that crowned the pyramid. This pyramidon, typically crafted from granite and limestone and often covered in gold, has never been definitively documented or illustrated in ancient records. However, another ancient structure, the Red Pyramid, still possesses its capstone, which has been found and reconstructed by archaeologists. Where could the capstone of the Great Pyramid be? It remains a mystery without a clear answer. Some theorists speculate that thieves may have stolen it, possibly pushing it off the top. This theory holds weight, considering the capstone would have been one of the most valuable elements of the entire structure. The purpose of this magnificent peak still eludes many scientists and archaeologists. Some suggest that the gold-covered capstone glorified the pharaohs, reflecting moonlight at night and illuminating the area around it. During the day, its shiny surface would reflect sunlight, making it visible from great distances, acting as a kind of guiding star for lost travelers. The remaining stone blocks of the pyramid, primarily made of limestone, were polished to gleam in the sunlight. In ancient times, they might have even emitted a glow, making the pyramids visible from space as tiny lights. Over the centuries, however, relentless winds, sandstorms, and rainfall have altered their appearance. Had they been preserved, they might have resembled structures from a science fiction movie or even the modern pyramids of Las Vegas. Unfortunately, we will never witness their original splendor. Some archaeologists and scientists theorize that the capstone could have absorbed the sun's energy, distributing it evenly throughout the pyramid. The precise reason the Egyptians required such technology remains a mystery, leading to speculation that the pyramids served as ancient energy sources. Could it be that these monumental structures were not just tombs for the pharaohs, but something more, perhaps a conduit of power and energy? The enigma of the Great Pyramid continues to intrigue and inspire, reminding us of the ingenuity of ancient civilizations. Imagine harnessing the sun's energy and channeling it throughout a grand pyramid. Intriguingly, the exact reason why the Egyptians developed such advanced technology remains a mystery. But there's a compelling theory that suggests these pyramids functioned as ancient energy systems. The pharaohs might have utilized this energy for unique technologies, potentially surpassing even our most advanced achievements in the 21st century. The pyramid's triangular design is believed to be perfect for amplifying electromagnetic energy. Picture this. Solar radiation or electromagnetic forces would gather at the apex of the pyramid, flow into its inner chambers, and cascade down the walls to the base. However, any distortion of the surface could disrupt this energy flow, necessitating a flawless, smooth exterior. This precision is why the blocks were fitted so tightly that not even a needle or a razor blade could fit between them. Many enthusiasts support this theory, particularly because the pyramids were constructed using limestone, a material known for its ability to store energy. Inside, granite deposits were strategically placed to promote air ionization, effectively generating an electric charge. Moreover, channels were excavated beneath the pyramid to allow water to transmit electricity, while a golden capstone, the finest conductor of electricity, crowned the structure. Astonishingly, this configuration could function as a powerful generator. Across various cultures worldwide, similar technologies have been employed to produce electricity. Yet these remain speculative theories. If they had been operational, humanity would likely have harnessed these technologies long ago. In today's world, we find references to metallurgy, chemistry, engineering, physics, mathematics, and astronomy in some ancient texts. Nevertheless, most scientists approach these claims with skepticism. We understand the progressive stages of technology development across different cultures. In the 21st century, scientists, historians, and anthropologists can trace the evolution of modern devices meticulously. If ancient civilizations had indeed invented groundbreaking technologies, the narrative of our history would have been vastly different. Consider this: what if all the remarkable achievements of antiquity were obliterated by catastrophic events? Just imagine future generations unearthing a laptop 5,000 years from now. Would they even recognize it as a device? Another Egyptian marvel shrouded in enigma is the statue of the Sphinx, hewn from a colossal single block of limestone. This iconic figure stands as a testament to the ingenuity and mystery of ancient Egyptian civilization, intriguing us with its secrets and the stories yet to be uncovered. Would you believe that we still don't fully comprehend the enigma of one of Egypt's most famous landmarks? The statue of the Sphinx, shrouded in mystery, is another stunning wonder from ancient Egypt. Carved from a single, massive piece of limestone approximately 4,500 years ago, its construction date and the identity of its creator remain elusive even to modern scientists. Imagine the Sphinx in its prime, painted in vibrant colors, radiating brilliance, much like the Great Pyramids. Over time, not only has its appearance faded, but its very name has changed. The ancient Egyptians originally referred to this monument as Hormit, but centuries later, the Greeks dubbed it the Sphinx. This magnificent figure was not just a statue. It symbolized the grandeur of Egypt's rulers and acted as a vigilant guardian over the pharaoh's tomb and the paths leading to it. Intriguingly, archaeologists have uncovered numerous hidden entrances at the base of the Sphinx. Might these secret chambers and winding tunnels lead to underground vaults filled with treasures? And when we speak of treasures, we don't just mean gold and jewels. Legends and theories suggest that the Sphinx protects the Hall of Records, a repository of all human knowledge. Could it hold information about the mythical civilization of Atlantis? If you scour the internet, you'll find detailed maps claiming to show subterranean structures stretching 12 stories below the Sphinx, some even likening it to a miniature city brimming with golden scrolls of knowledge and ancient artifacts. Yet, it's crucial to approach these maps with skepticism. They primarily represent theories rather than established facts. Thousands of years have passed, and much about the Sphinx remains shrouded in uncertainty. Archaeologists assert that countless mysteries related to the Sphinx have yet to be unraveled. Some locals are hesitant to delve into its depths, fearing that they might awaken something sinister from the underground. Consequently, excavations are largely undertaken by scientists from abroad. In 1998, researchers stumbled upon peculiar tunnels leading to empty chambers beneath the Sphinx, revealing that previous explorers had attempted to access these depths, possibly making off with treasures that once lay hidden. One captivating legend suggests that a powerful artifact lies beneath the Sphinx, an artifact whose technology could revolutionize the world. However, locals are rumored to keep it hidden, fearing it could wreak havoc on the planet. Some believe that inscriptions on granite walls within the pharaoh's tombs may hold evidence of unknown technologies. But what if these ancient symbols and drawings were actually detailed guides for harnessing this ancient technology? Imagine if the people of that era foresaw a future where humanity struggled to generate energy on its own and decided to leave behind comprehensive instructions for future generations. The pursuit of these answers is fraught with peril. Accessing the underground halls is no easy task. Excavations could jeopardize the structural integrity of the Sphinx itself, and anyone venturing into the tunnels risks becoming lost forever. Plus, such endeavors come with hefty financial costs. Now, picture this. What if there were a device capable of scanning subterranean areas and producing intricate models? Sounds far-fetched? Think again. The concept isn't as absurd as it seems. In 2020, a team of scientists released groundbreaking research that transformed our understanding of Neanderthals, our closest evolutionary relatives. A remarkable discovery made in France altered the landscape of archaeology forever, but this wasn't the first time such a shift occurred. Let's rewind a bit. For ages, Neanderthals have been depicted as the quintessential caveman. If you're envisioning someone akin to Fred Flintstone, you're not far off. But what led to this stereotype? When did we start believing that Neanderthals lacked intelligence? Enter William King, a British geologist from the 19th century. He was the one who coined the term Neanderthal after discovering their bones. Based on these findings, scientists hastily labeled the species as unintelligent, and this characterization lingered for centuries. However, a mere fragment of string, measuring just 1/4 of an inch in length, changed everything. This discovery occurred in the dry river valley of Abdumaris, where archaeologists unearthed a cord fragment alongside a stone tool. The twisted fibers could have been utilized for various purposes, from crafting clothing to making fishing nets, remarkably advanced technology for a prehistoric era, indicating that Neanderthals possessed significant skills. We already knew that these early humans created tar from birch bark and fashioned shell beads. There's even evidence of Neanderthal artistry. They were far from primitive. The significance of the string and similar finds is reshaping our perception of these ancient ancestors. The world of archaeology is in constant flux, much like the majestic pyramids of Egypt. They were certainly anything but primitive. The recent discoveries in the string section of archaeology are transforming our understanding of our ancestors. The field of archaeology is in a constant state of evolution. Take, for instance, the iconic pyramids of Egypt. It turns out they were not constructed by an army of laborers coerced into work until they collapsed from exhaustion. This misconception can be traced back to the famous Greek historian Herodotus, who claimed in 500 BCE that a staggering 100,000 men were involved in building the Great Pyramid of Giza. However, he failed to clarify who these workers were and the purpose behind the pyramid's construction. And so, a myth was born. Colossal stone slabs hoisted by human strength, overseen by a foreman wielding a whip. However, Egyptologists, those dedicated scientists who delve into the culture of ancient Egypt, hold a different perspective. Recently, they discovered a workers' village that offers a refreshing narrative. While evidence of hard labor is indeed present in the bones of these workers, it's important to note that the construction industry, even today, is highly demanding. Just think about it. It took nearly 6 years for 12,000 workers to erect the Burj Khalifa, the tallest building in the world. In contrast, 3 times that number of laborers completed the Great Pyramid in about 2 decades. A remarkable feat of ancient engineering, wouldn't you agree? Moreover, the Egyptians who built the pyramids were well taken care of. They enjoyed a diet abundant in protein, had access to medical care, and were compensated fairly for their work. In fact, many lived better than those who weren't part of the workforce and resided with their families close to the construction site. Archaeologists have unearthed bakeries and dormitories filled with jars of bread and other provisions, revealing that the pharaohs were actually quite decent employers. Contrary to what we might believe, the job market was not as dismal as it seems. These ancient builders also maintained meticulous papyrus records of the construction, written in hieroglyphs so intricate that you and I would struggle to decipher them. For over a millennium, even Egyptologists faced similar challenges. No one had utilized the script, and there was no ancient Egyptian English dictionary to consult for translations. But everything changed in 1822 when a few decades prior, the French unearthed a broken slab of black granite. This stone bore a single text inscribed in 3 different scripts: Ancient Greek, Egyptian hieroglyphs, and Demotic, a simplified script of the Egyptian language. Dating back to 196 BCE, this text was a religious proclamation. Enter Jean-François Champollion, a French philologist and Orientalist, who became the first to unlock this ancient code. Remarkably, people had not forgotten the characters of ancient Greek, which allowed Champollion to successfully match the Greek letters with those in the Egyptian script. Suddenly, we could read hieroglyphs. The stone that made this groundbreaking achievement possible is known as the Rosetta Stone. Its discovery was not just significant for archaeology. The term Rosetta Stone has made its way into the English lexicon, symbolizing a breakthrough that helps decode long-standing mysteries. This process is akin to a game where a symbol corresponds to a specific message, which you decipher by substituting the symbol with the appropriate letter. In essence, that's precisely what scientists accomplished with the Rosetta Stone over 2 centuries ago. Did you know that the oldest deciphered language in Europe has a rather unglamorous name, Linear B? This script belongs to the Minoan Greek language and predates the ancient Greek alphabet by several centuries. It's easy to deduce that Linear B is derived from Linear A. The people of Crete used Linear B over 1,000 years ago during the Late Bronze Age. However, the Greek civilization that utilized the script vanished, leaving no one who could read Linear B, and more importantly, no one even knew it existed. This was all set to change in the early 20th century, when a British archaeologist named Sir Arthur Evans excavated a vast palace complex at Knossos in Crete, Greece. This site was the heart of Minoan culture, the creators of the elusive script. The palace boasted around 1,300 rooms adorned with vibrant frescoes of dolphins, griffins, and bulls, which captured the imagination of archaeologists. Yet, their most significant discovery was initially overlooked: thousands of baked clay slabs. The fire that ultimately led to the palace's collapse actually helped preserve these tablets. But they remained indecipherable, written in an unknown language. The scientific community had to wait another 50 years until Michael Ventris, an English architect and cryptographer, cracked the code. Ventris studied Greek and Latin while attending lectures by renowned archaeologists and took it upon himself to solve the enigma of Linear B once and for all. In 1952, he accomplished this incredible feat, revealing that the script was an archaic form of Greek. However, the mystery of Linear A remains unsolved, leaving this ancient writing system forever shrouded in intrigue. In 1952, one of Vessa's most remarkable discoveries was the realization that the script he was studying was an ancient form of Greek. Yet, despite this revelation, the secrets of Linear A remain unsolved by cryptologists. This enigmatic writing system will continue to elude understanding until a passionate young individual, much like Michael Ventris, steps forward. Interestingly, they don't need to be a seasoned archaeologist. Take Basil Brown, for example. He was far from a professional when, in 1939, he unearthed the most opulent early medieval tomb in Europe, located in Sutton Hoo in the southeast of England. But this was no ordinary grave. It was a full-size ship, stretching 3 times the length of a London double-decker bus. And the treasures within were nothing short of astonishing. Imagine deluxe hanging bowls, exquisite feasting vessels, golden dress accessories, and luxurious textiles, all found within this remarkable vessel. The archaeologists were particularly astounded by the silverware linked to far-off Byzantium, a city you might recognize today as Istanbul, Turkey. Just picture the journey and the expense involved in bringing a silver plate all the way from there to Sutton Hoo in the 7th century, the time when the ship sank. According to experts, the English of that era couldn't have constructed such a ship, as there was no unified England at the time. The British Isles were inhabited by the Anglo-Saxons. It's possible that this ship, emerging from the grassy mounds of Suffolk, belonged to one of their kings. However, we may never uncover the identity of its owner, as the acidic local soil has likely erased any potential evidence. There's a chance it was a ceneda, a monument built to honor a significant individual. While archaeologists still grapple with unanswered questions, the treasures discovered at Sutton Hoo have illuminated the obscure period known as the Dark Ages. Before this groundbreaking find, knowledge about Britain's history post-Roman occupation was scant. Now, we have a clearer picture of early Anglo-Saxon society. Who knows, perhaps the English soil will host the next significant archaeological breakthrough. Now, imagine if someone were to invent time travel, allowing you to embark on a journey to the past. You would hardly recognize the familiar landmarks you cherish today, like the Statue of Liberty or the Egyptian pyramids. In fact, even some everyday items, such as the remote control or your laptop, would seem entirely foreign. When the pyramids were first constructed in ancient Egypt, they were not the sandy brown structures we see today. Instead, they were adorned with gleaming white limestone. If you had witnessed them under the blazing African sun, you might have had to shield your eyes from their radiant brilliance. To construct the Great Pyramid of Giza alone, builders utilized around 6 million tons of this material. This grand structure is the largest pyramid still visible on your travels to Egypt today. The local rulers were quite thrifty, reusing some of the casing stones for other construction projects. A massive earthquake in the 14th century also caused some stones to loosen, which is why you may not see a lot of limestone remaining today. However, remnants can still be found atop the Pyramid of Khafre in Giza, giving it an appearance of having a second peak resting atop the first. In ancient times, all pyramids were capped with stones known as pyramid ions, often coated with a mix of gold and silver. While many of these have been lost over the centuries, a few can still be found in museums, showcasing images of Egyptian deities. The pyramids were thought to be modeled after a sacred pointed stone known as the Ben, symbolizing the rays of the sun. Lifting such heavy stones was no simple task, especially without the advanced technology we have today. If you've ever helped friends move and found yourself struggling with a couch, you can relate. Fortunately, the ingenious Egyptians opted for a pyramid shape, which allowed the weight to be evenly distributed throughout the structure. The Statue of Liberty has undergone a significant transformation since its debut in 1886. Believe it or not, it was initially a shiny brown color, reminiscent of a penny. 2 decades later, it transitioned to its iconic green hue, not as a fashion statement, but due to a chemical reaction. The statue is covered in hundreds of thin copper sheets, and when copper interacts with air, it develops a protective layer known as patina. This layer shields what lies beneath from corrosion, which is why copper, brass, and bronze artifacts can endure for so long. When Lady Liberty first turned green, authorities believed it would be wise to paint over her. This was long before the days of social media, so there were no viral rants opposing the idea. Instead, local newspapers reported on the plan, but the public was not in favor. The Times even interviewed a copper and bronze manufacturer who advised against repainting, warning that removing the protective layer would risk damaging the statue itself. Over the years, there have been numerous suggestions to repaint Lady Liberty, but none have come to fruition. I don't know about you, but I can hardly imagine our beloved lady in any other color. The evolution of everyday innovations. Have you ever thought about what it would mean to alter the iconic statue of Lady Liberty? Over the years, many have proposed the idea of painting her in different colors, yet none have dared to take that step. Personally, I can't fathom her in any hue other than her timeless green. Perhaps it's for the best. Now, if you share my love for bananas, the next time you savor a soft, juicy one, take a moment to appreciate the wonders of selective breeding that brought us this delightful fruit. The wild ancestors of today's bananas were packed with large, hard seeds and had very little of that sweet, delectable pulp we enjoy now. Speaking of sweetness, consider the watermelon. This beloved summer treat boasts a history that spans over 5,000 years. Originally, watermelons had a bitter, yellowish-white flesh and were quite difficult to open. Thanks to selective breeding, we now have the irresistibly sweet versions we crave, and Japanese scientists have even developed the convenient seedless variety. Let's turn our attention to corn, or as it's known in its original form, teosinte. This ancient Mexican grass produced kernels that were small and challenging to process. However, farmers from millennia ago wisely selected seeds from the largest and tastiest plants, ultimately giving us the delicious corn we cherish today. Imagine if wild avocados were still around, tiny enough to fit in the palm of your hand, with a pit so large that you'd hardly find any edible flesh inside. They also had much tougher shells than the creamy avocados we enjoy now. Now, let's take a moment to reflect on how much we rely on our computers today. While I can't pinpoint a single inventor, the ABC Atanasoff Berry computer from 1942 is a strong contender for the title of the first computer. Weighing in at over 700 pounds, this early machine featured around 300 vacuum tubes and a rotating drum slightly larger than a paint can. It utilized capacitors, devices that store electrical charges, allowing it to tackle problems with up to 29 variables. Just like modern computers, it operated on binary digits, using ones and zeros to represent all data. The ABC could perform one operation every 15 seconds, a staggering contrast to today's millions of operations per second. Unlike current technology, the ABC lacked a changeable stored program, meaning it could only execute one task at a time, requiring an operator to manually record and re-enter intermediate results. It certainly makes one grateful to live in the 21st century. Speaking of gratitude, let's not forget about the remote controls we use for our appliances. The journey began with Nikola Tesla, who invented one of the first wireless remote controls back in 1898. He named it TAA Automation and demonstrated its capabilities on a miniature boat controlled by radio waves. Tesla sent signals from a box equipped with a lever and a telegraph key, moving the boat's rudder and propeller. This groundbreaking concept quickly expanded to other devices, leading to the first television remote control, introduced in 1950 by the Zenith Radio Corporation. Aptly named Lazy Bone, this early remote was tethered to the TV with a hefty cable, which made it less than popular as users often tripped over it. And if you've ever lived or worked on one of the top floors of a building, you'll appreciate this next tale. The first passenger elevator. Operating at a leisurely speed of 40 feet per minute, it may not sound fast compared to today's elevators that soar at 40 feet per second, but back in 1857 in New York, it was more of an attraction than a necessity. Hidden in the basement of a five-story building, it was shut down 3 years later due to a lack of public interest. Around the same time, Otis Tufts patented the first vertical railway, complete with a car and a bench for passengers to sit and chat. These luxurious elevators eventually made their way into high-end hotels around the globe, featuring richly designed interiors with upholstered seats, mirrors, and even small chandeliers. An operator would close the door, and the car would begin its slow ascent. Style over speed, indeed. I can't help but think I'd choose the stairs in such a scenario. Finally, most of us are aware that the Grand Pyramids were constructed as monumental tombs for pharaohs, designed to ensure a smooth passage to the afterlife. The Great Pyramid of Giza stands as a testament to this ancient tradition, the secrets beneath the step pyramid of Djoser. Have you ever pondered the marvels hidden beneath our feet? While many are aware that the Grand Pyramids of Egypt served as monumental tombs for the pharaohs, designed to guarantee a smooth passage to the afterlife, there's much more to the story. Take, for instance, the Great Pyramid of Giza, constructed for Pharaoh Khufu. But did you know that the pyramid building trend actually began right here, with the step pyramid of Djoser, nearly 4,700 years ago? This colossal structure, built for Pharaoh Djoser from Egypt's 3rd dynasty, rises impressively with 7 layers, towering about 200 feet above the ground. Today, we admire it as an extraordinary feat of architecture. However, for the ancient Egyptians, the step pyramid was more of a grand experiment, a crucial trial run designed to refine their building skills before embarking on even more ambitious pyramid projects. While reaching greater heights is indeed thrilling, the real enigma lies beneath the surface. Below this pyramid exists a labyrinth of tunnels that stretches around 3.5 miles in length. Some researchers propose that these tunnels might have been part of a sophisticated water management system, reshaping our understanding of how the pyramids were constructed. Let's delve into this fascinating complex located in Saqqara. Surrounding the pyramid is what's known as a dry moat, a continuous trench that measures up to 164 feet wide and nearly 2 miles long, forming a rectangular perimeter around the pyramid. This trench boasts an average depth of about 65 feet. If you were to gather all the earth and rock excavated to create this moat, it would amount to roughly 10 times the volume of the step pyramid itself. For a long time, many believed this trench to be nothing more than a large quarry, a site for extracting stone and clay for the pyramid's construction. Sounds logical, right? However, a closer examination reveals inconsistencies. The trench is far too narrow and deep to serve practical mining purposes, and its layout deviates from any known ancient Egyptian quarrying methods. Furthermore, certain sections of the trench are covered with a rocky ceiling, rendering it nearly impossible to utilize as a quarry. Another theory suggests that the dry moat held spiritual significance, perhaps serving as a sacred space where the souls of nobles congregated to assist the deceased king in the afterlife. There are even niches in the walls that hint at this spiritual role, but most researchers believe this interpretation likely emerged long after Djoser's complex was completed. So what was the true purpose of this moat? In 2020, a researcher proposed a fascinating idea. This trench might have been designed to collect and manage water, particularly after heavy rainfall. This speculation makes sense when considering the location. The moat lies in an area susceptible to flooding from nearby plains. This might also explain why the trench was not utilized for new graves until much later when the climate became drier and less prone to flooding. But the intrigue doesn't stop there. This trench appears to be part of a more extensive and intricate hydraulic system within the Djoser complex. It seems that the trench contains several compartments, meticulously carved into the rock and interconnected by tunnels. These compartments likely functioned as part of a water treatment system, allowing water to flow from one section to the next, becoming progressively cleaner along the way. Now, let's connect the dots between this hydraulic system and the pyramid itself. The Djoser complex features a series of underground shafts, and some researchers propose that water from the moat's deep trench may have powered a hydraulic lift system. Imagine a giant water-powered elevator that could raise the heavy stones necessary for constructing the pyramid. It worked like a volcano, but instead of lava, water did the heavy lifting. Picture this: a deep hole at the heart of the pyramid site, with a massive wooden platform resembling a giant raft that could move up and down. When workers needed to lift a heavy stone, they would fill the hole with water. As the water level rose, the wooden platform would float upward, carrying the stone along with it, almost like an enormous water-powered elevator. Once the stone reached the desired height, the workers would slide it off the platform and onto the pyramid. The concept is that water from the deep trench, after being filtered and cleaned, would flow into these shafts, causing a large platform, possibly made of wood, to rise as the water filled the shaft, effectively lifting the stones to their required positions. Once the stone was in place, the water could be released, lowering the platform back down, ready to lift the next stone. This ingenious hydraulic lift system could have revolutionized the construction process, making it significantly faster and more efficient without relying heavily on a large workforce. So next time you gaze upon the pyramids, remember that their creation involved not just monumental labor, but also groundbreaking ingenuity. Ready to lift the next stone? Imagine a hydraulic lift system so advanced that it could revolutionize the way pyramids were built. This ingenious mechanism could have accelerated the construction process considerably, reducing the need for a large workforce. It's as if the ancient Egyptians were already embracing the philosophy of work smarter, not harder. However, not everyone agrees with this theory. Some experts contend that the region surrounding the step pyramid of Djoser may not have had sufficient water from sporadic rains to support such an elaborate hydraulic system. The prevailing theory posits that, in antiquity, there might have been a lake nearby that would fill up after significant rainfall, providing the necessary water for the hydraulic system. Yet, there are no references to such a lake in any ancient Egyptian texts, making this idea more of a hypothetical scenario than a confirmed reality. Now, let's address the notion of hard work itself. Remember when I mentioned that this hydraulic method could have allowed the ancient builders to elevate stones with considerably less effort? Well, it turns out that might not be entirely accurate. According to some experts, the construction of this hydraulic device might have required more laborious effort than simply maneuvering stone blocks using traditional manpower. And let's not overlook the fact that the step pyramid of Djoser is relatively modest compared to later pyramids. The stones used in Djoser's pyramid weighed about 660 pounds each, which pales in comparison to the colossal blocks, weighing over 2.5 tons, used in the pyramid of Khufu. If we completely dismiss the water lift theory, we still need to unravel the mystery of how this pyramid was constructed in the first place. To do that, we need to take a step back and consider the original plans. Initially, before Djoser's tomb transformed into a pyramid, the intention was to create a simple mastaba, a common type of tomb characterized by a flat roof and sloping sides. After completing the original mastaba, they decided to expand it by adding more layers, ultimately resulting in 6 distinct steps, each smaller than the last. It's likely they accomplished this feat by utilizing ramps to raise those heavy stones, rather than a water-powered elevator. There remains a wealth of knowledge yet to be uncovered about the step pyramid of Djoser. Further research is essential to fully comprehend how this system operated, or if it even existed at all. However, the idea of utilizing water in the pyramid's construction adds an intriguing layer to our understanding of ancient Egyptian engineering. It's a testament to how clever and resourceful these builders were, harnessing the natural landscape and the power of water to create one of history's most iconic monuments. Picture this. It's 1898, and you're digging in Saqqara. You find yourself part of an excavation team in Saqqara, a site brimming with ancient tombs and pyramids, not far from Cairo. Caught up in your Indiana Jones fantasy, you hope to discover something truly remarkable: gold, ancient manuscripts, treasure maps, or the mummies of legendary pharaohs. But wait, what's this? A wooden bird? Disappointment washes over you as it appears to be just a simple toy, albeit an old one. Little do you know, years later, someone would propose that your wooden bird was actually an ancient model of a monoplane. Dubbed the Saqqara bird, this artifact crafted from sycamore wood has a wingspan of just 7 inches and weighs around 40 grams. A perfect keepsake from Egypt. Over 2,000 years old, it looks relatively plain, lacking intricate carvings of feathers or ornate decorations. It does feature a beak and eyes, giving it a resemblance to a hawk, the emblem of the deity Horus. Its tail, however, is quite peculiar. It's squared and stands upright, with a sunken area suggesting a missing piece. Human beings have a natural inclination to solve mysteries, leading to various theories about the purpose of this bird. The first theory suggests it was a ceremonial object. Another idea posits that it served as a child's toy from a well-off family. Could even have been a type of boomerang, a popular concept in ancient Egypt. Then there was the theory that it functioned as a weather vane, but this has been debunked, as the figure has no holes or markings except for one made later at the Cairo Museum to attach it to a display stick. Nearly a century after the bird's discovery, Egyptologist Dr. Khalil Msa proposed a groundbreaking theory. Could it have been a model of a monoplane? He suggested that the bird was missing a horizontal tailplane, but its wings were positioned at a right angle, akin to modern aircraft. This configuration could have enabled it to generate the aerodynamic lift necessary for flight. Dr. Msa also argued that placing miniature models of technological innovations in tombs was a common practice of the time. So, did the ancient Egyptians truly invent the airplane as early as 200 BCE? Did the ancient Egyptians really invent the airplane? Dr. Msa made an intriguing claim that during ancient times, it was quite common to place miniature models of technological inventions in tombs. This raises a fascinating question. Did the ancient Egyptians truly create a prototype of an airplane back in 200 BCE? If that's the case, the Wright brothers, who are widely recognized as the pioneers of aviation, might have felt a bit overshadowed. considering their first successful flight didn't occur until 1903. So, how can we uncover the truth behind this ancient mystery? The most straightforward method would be to test a model, but let's be honest. The Egyptian Museum in Cairo is unlikely to allow one of its prized exhibits to take to the skies like a toy. However, glider designer Martin Gregory took matters into his own hands and built a similar model out of balsa wood. His findings concluded that, despite missing a tailplane, the aircraft didn't perform very well. But is that the end of the story? Not quite. The History Channel found the initial results unconvincing and brought in an aerodynamics expert to construct another replica of the ancient bird. This expert tested the model under weather conditions mimicking those of Egypt and was pleasantly surprised by its performance. If the Egyptians did, in fact, invent a prototype of an airplane during the Age of Pharaohs, this would serve as a remarkable example of an artifact that was far ahead of its time. And the Saqqara bird isn't the only revolutionary discovery from the past. In 1901, a team of divers unearthed the Antikythera mechanism from a sunken ship near the Greek island of Antikythera. Often hailed as the world's first analog computer, this remarkable device has been dated to around 100 BCE. Could calculate the positions of the sun, moon, planets, and stars, predict lunar phases, and even forecast solar eclipses. Despite the mystery surrounding its creator and its origin, one thing is abundantly clear: it was exceedingly precise and far too advanced for its era. Now let's talk about flushing toilets. Hard to believe, but the first flushing toilets weren't invented in the mid-20th century. In fact, the ancient Minoans on the Mediterranean island of Crete and the Indus Valley Civilization both independently developed this ingenious invention approximately 4,000 years ago. Their plumbing and sanitation systems were so effective that it took another 2,000 years for anyone to improve upon them. One particular Minoan lavatory discovered at the Palace of Knossos featured a wooden seat positioned over a tunnel that channeled water from a rooftop reservoir to an underground sewer. However, only the wealthiest individuals could afford such luxury. So, if you were house hunting back then, a flushing toilet would be a sure sign you were in an upscale neighborhood. Automated doors may seem like a modern invention, but their origins stretch back to the 1st century CE. The brilliant mathematician and engineer Heron of Alexandria devised a hydraulic system to open and close temple doors. To activate his invention, one would need to light a fire to generate heat. A brass pot filled with water sat beneath the flames, connected to containers that acted as weights. As the water heated and moved into the containers, they would descend and pull on ropes, slowly opening the doors. Unlike today's supermarket doors that glide open at lightning speed, Heron's doors took hours to open, only doing so once a day for temple ceremonies. Quite the dramatic flair. Now, here's a twist. The first known battery was discovered in Baghdad around 2,000 years ago. In 1938, a German archaeologist unearthed an oval-shaped clay jar, and to this day, scientists debate its purpose and origin. One theory suggests that it was used for electroplating objects with precious metals when filled with a weak acid like vinegar, generating about 1 volt of electricity. Another theory posits it served as a container for sacred scrolls. How about contact lenses? Would you believe that Leonardo da Vinci invented a glass lens designed for improved vision back in 1508? His design featured a funnel on one side that had to be filled with water. A rather uncomfortable solution, if you ask me. Fast forward about a century, and French scientist René Descartes attempted to refine the concept with a lens that would sit directly on the cornea. Hence the term contact lens, as it contacts the eye. Although the glass tube with liquid did enhance vision, it made blinking impossible. It wasn't until 2.5 centuries later that advances in glass manufacturing allowed for contact lenses that actually fit the eye and permitted blinking. Fast forward another 50 years and lenses transitioned to lightweight, unbreakable, and scratch-resistant plastic, though they still covered the entire eye. Then, in 1948, an English optical technician revolutionized the industry once again. Stay tuned as we uncover more astonishing innovations that have shaped our world. Did you know that the history of contact lenses is far more fascinating than you might think? Remarkably, it took about 50 years for lenses to evolve from a rudimentary design to a breakthrough in comfort and usability. By the mid-20th century, contact lenses were finally crafted from plastic, lightweight, unbreakable, and scratch-resistant. Yet, they still covered the entire eye. It wasn't until 1948 that an English optical technician, through a serendipitous accident of sanding down a plastic lens, discovered a new possibility: lenses that would remain secure even while only covering the cornea. Now, picture yourself in 19th century London, needing to send an urgent message to New York. The journey would have taken a grueling 10 days by ship. So, when the delivery time drastically dropped from days to mere hours in 1858, it was a monumental sensation. The very first message was dispatched by none other than Queen Victoria herself. This groundbreaking achievement was made possible by the transatlantic telegraph cable that snaked its way beneath the ocean. Unfortunately, this revolutionary invention was short-lived, lasting only a few weeks before it took years to revive it. Let's shift gears and consider the Great Pyramids, one of the original 7 wonders of the world, and uniquely the only one that still stands today. But here's an intriguing fact. The pyramids of Giza weren't the only ones created, nor were they the first. Before them were other pyramids, which, while not as famous, paved the way for their monumental successors. Just kidding. The reality is that ancient Egyptians believed their kings were divine mediators chosen by the gods to serve on earth, destined to become gods themselves in the afterlife. The pyramid complex was meticulously constructed to ensure that the king would have everything he might need in the next world. This complex included not just the pyramid itself but also a palace and temples. Inside the tomb, where the king was laid to rest, treasures such as furniture, food, and golden vessels were placed, all intended to accompany him in the afterlife. In fact, the very first pyramid was built a remarkable 80 years before the iconic Pyramid of Giza. Overall, around 100 pyramids were constructed, although some remained unfinished since not every pharaoh lived long enough to see their completion. Now, let's delve into the construction techniques of the pyramids. The largest of the pyramids of Giza towers at a height comparable to a 40-story building. Just how did they manage to erect such a colossal structure over 5,000 years ago, long before modern machinery? It all began when Pharaoh Khufu ascended to the throne around 2575 BCE, prompting his architects to commence work on the oldest and grandest pyramid. They estimated that over 2 million limestone blocks were required, each weighing approximately 2.5 tons, the weight of a rhinoceros, to complete this monumental task in just 20 years. A stone needed to be transported and placed into position every 4 minutes, around the clock, every day of the year, leap years included. Thus, it's no surprise that thousands of workers were essential for the project's success. While many believe that enslaved individuals constructed these pyramids, the truth is quite different. Workers from across Egypt converged on this ambitious site, with estimates suggesting a workforce of around 25,000. These laborers engaged in various tasks, from manual labor to toolmaking and administrative duties, working roughly 10 hours a day. They were well-fed and housed, enjoying a standard of living that surpassed that of the average Egyptian during that period. They likely resided in a nearby temporary city, forming a highly organized community with strong leadership. The pyramids themselves were ingeniously aligned with cardinal points, symbolizing the rays of the sun. Interestingly, the ancient Egyptians had to determine directions without compasses, relying instead on 2 constellations for incredible precision. The construction site was strategically located on the west bank of the Nile River, which held significant symbolic meaning. Just as the sun sets in the west, so too does life. Next in line is the second pyramid of Giza, built for Khufu's son, Pharaoh Khafre. Although slightly smaller, it is home to the iconic Sphinx, an enigmatic statue that originally possessed a nose, the fate of which remains a mystery. Sphinxes, with the body of a lion and the head of a human, were regarded as protectors of sacred spaces. This particular sphinx is believed to bear the likeness of Pharaoh Khafre, guarding his pyramid and facing the sunrise. Interestingly, the sphinx was not only remarkable for its size but also for its vivid colors. Scientific investigations have uncovered traces of red paint on its face, suggesting it was once adorned in brilliant hues, with remnants of yellow and blue on its body. Up until the 1800s, the Sphinx was buried up to its shoulders until an adventurous team of 160 men unearthed it. Returning to the construction, the workers needed a reliable supply of stone blocks. There were two primary sources for these stones. One source was conveniently located near the construction site, but the other required more effort to access. To construct the awe-inspiring pyramids, workers required stone blocks, and there were primarily two sources for these essential materials. One source was conveniently located near the construction site, but the fossil-lined yellow stone found there was only suitable for the pyramid's interior. The limestone blocks, intended for the outer facade, were transported from a site 8 miles away using 30-ton-long sleds. Surprisingly, pulling these heavy sleds wasn't as daunting as one might think. The sand, when mixed with just the right amount of water, created a slick surface, allowing a team of 10 workers to move a sled, even with such hefty stones. Interestingly, the challenge didn't lie in cutting the limestone blocks themselves. When still in the ground, the limestone was soft and could be split relatively easily. However, once exposed to air, it hardened significantly. Thus, the most critical task became shaping the blocks accurately. Precision was paramount. Even the slightest error could lead to catastrophic structural failures in the pyramid. Once these limestone blocks were mined, transported, and shaped, the question arose: how were they positioned into place? This remains one of the enduring mysteries of ancient Egypt. Archaeologists have stumbled upon remnants of a ramp system that dates back to the time of the pyramid's construction, leading historians to theorize that the Egyptians devised an innovative ramp system for moving and maneuvering these colossal stone blocks. The prevailing theory suggests there were multiple ramps surrounding the pyramid, with a central ramp flanked by staircases on either side. As the pyramid rose, so too did the ramps, allowing workers to ascend while hauling stones on sleds. However, this is just one interpretation. Some experts propose that the ramps were located around the pyramid, while others believe they might have been built within it. Perhaps the true method will forever remain shrouded in mystery. The exterior limestone of the pyramid was meticulously polished using sand and stone until it gleamed brilliantly. Topping this magnificent structure was a capstone made of gold and silver, which shimmered in the Egyptian sun like a second sun itself. This was the scene 5,000 years ago. Now let's delve into the interior of the pyramid. Surprisingly, much of the interior consists of solid stone, leaving very little open space. Upon entering, you'll find two stairways, one leading down and the other ascending. These stairways guide you to 3 chambers within the pyramid. But why 3? The answer lies in the necessity of always having a burial chamber prepared, in case a pharaoh passed away before the construction was completed. Thus, chambers were constructed sequentially as the building progressed, with the final one being the king's chamber, where Pharaoh Khufu rests. This chamber is the largest, positioned at the very heart of the pyramid, accessible via a significant passageway that likely served as an elevator for transporting granite to construct the pyramid's interior. Granite also played a crucial role in the pyramid's structural integrity, forming 5 levels of support beams to prevent collapse. Today, we can marvel at its endurance, as it has stood the test of time for centuries. Unfortunately, none of these chambers are adorned with hieroglyphs. For those interested in ancient Egyptian writings, you'd need to venture to the decorated tombs nearby, which vividly depict